Thank you all for coming. My name is Tom Hardy. I'm the Open Educational Resources Librarian at Fogler Library, also, also extending to Merrill Library and Machias. And
I'm Casey Coons. I'm the Open Scholarship Librarian at Folger and Machias, UMaine Libraries.
And we are going to be talking to you about unlocking knowledge with open educational resources. What that means is we're going to be going over what open educational resources are, understanding OER and academic freedom, licenses and open access, the benefits of OER, where do you get started, and how can you get involved? So what are open educational resources? Open educational resources are materials that are within the public domain that have been released or have been released with an open license that allows for the use and repurposing of material by others. Basically, what that means is that material can be used by anyone for any reason within the stipulations of the license it was released under. That means that your students can access them for free, which saves them money and allows them to take your class without worrying about the cost of living. As we are learning more and more, academia needs to take on these kinds of issues as the faith that people have in academia and the academy is lessening over time. And we need to start looking at things like affordability if we're going to get people to actually take us seriously and come in. Well, how do we do that? How does this help?
So academic freedom is one of the benefits that you as instructors get from embracing open educational resources. So a lot of people think about open access resources as you don't have to pay any money for them, and that's correct. But there's another type of freedom, right, that you get with open access, and that is you're free to do with it whatever you wish, right? And so that means that unlike, say, a copyrighted textbook, right, like that you can take pieces out of, right, like an open access textbook, an open educational resource textbook, you can remix, right? Like you could revise it if there's something in the textbook that doesn't quite go with the theory that you're using in your class, or you need to add a little bit, you want to add some case studies, you can go ahead and do that. You can add to it, right? And then that version where you added a little bit to it, you can then redistribute that, right? Like because your additions to it could be valuable to other instructors, right? And that's how this sort of grows into a landscape of educational resources that are evolving and adapting to the material. So the thing about content, right? Like we're talking about textbooks or other types of educational material, right? They generally all fall under copyright law, right? And so the problem with copyright law when it comes to trying to make things open, it's a good thing, is that whenever you create something, right, in a text, right, you have copyright over it. You have rights over the ability to copy it, right? And under base copyright law, when you have your rights, you hold copyright in your work. The only time anyone can use your work is if they have your express permission. And that gets overcomplicated if you want to share it with a large number of people, right? Because you don't have time to sit around answering yes to a bunch of emails saying, hey, can I use your book, right? And so the way that we do this is through licenses. And these are the same kind of licenses that we encounter in day-to-day life, right? When you have to use software, you have the license, right, like to use, right, like increasingly, right? We're doing everything through licenses, right? And so one of the most popular types of licenses that is used by open educational content and open access content is Creative Commons. So again, this is a license, right? Like that you put your work under, so you retain copyright, right? It's still your copyright. You have you hold the copyright over it, but your license stipulates that anyone can use it, right, for reasons that you stipulate. And Creative Commons has a lot of features that you can add, and you can add all of these, or you can add a mix of these to a Creative Commons contract, right, to a Creative Commons license. Most common is by, right? That is basically saying you can use it, but you have to give a link back to the source. You have to attribute the original author, right? Other ones, non-commercial, right? This is one that if you want to be able to share it for educational purposes, right? Everyone can use it for that, but if they want to use it for a commercial purpose, right, they're back under having to negotiate with you. Share alike, right, is the viral sort of feature of the contract. So share alike is a feature in the license that says if you make that remix, right, if you make that remix, then your new version, right, also has to have the same license features that the original did, right? So you can't take something, you can't take this open thing and make a closed thing out of it, right? Like, and then there's like you can get really strict with it. You can say no derivatives. So you can say, right, I want you to have this. You can have it and use it in your class, but no remixing, right? You can't make any changes to it. So this is something to be aware, mostly when you're navigating, right, creating open educational content. And I'm someone who can help you with that.
So what are the benefits to not only you, but also to your students? It unlocks savings. On average, undergraduates spend about $1,300 a year on textbooks or supplies. UMaine estimates about $1,000 per year, $500 per semester, unless they are in the AMP program, which is the academic materials program, which is $274.30 per semester, automatically withdrawn from their tuition. The AMP program does not cover grad students. If you teach grad courses, your students are paying whatever textbook costs there are, unlike undergrads who might have whatever textbooks you might assign automatically paid for. However, the AMP program does not, it is hard to opt out of the AMP program if students can't afford that $274 a semester, and that is not taken into account. Additional benefits that have been seen through studies are that it increases student success when OER is used. Students are more satisfied because the books are still high quality, but they are not paying for them. It increases engagement because more people have the book because it's free. And it also decreases DFW grades, which is a D or an F grade or withdrawing from the course. What that means is more students are staying in your course, more students are learning the things that you want them to learn. They are engaging with you, with the scholarship, and they're becoming better scholars, better students. They are getting more from their degree when you have the ability to have the textbook for free.
And realistically, why is it that we see all these things, this increased success and like increased retention, right? Less failure rates? It's simply because they have the materials, right? The reason that we see issues with traditional textbooks is that, and you all know this, I was a teacher myself, I saw this, when you teach a class, right? Some people in your class don't have texts.
Yeah. And with the looming Title II requirements that are coming out, some professors might ask, hey, is this open content accessible? Is it going to make my life easier when I am planning my courses? And there are actually a lot of vendors that are committed to making their content accessible. OpenStax, which is one of the major vendors, has made a commitment to being WCAG 2.0 AA compliant, which is the new Title II standard. And while there are third-party content that may not be as accessible, there are ways to make them accessible, and then you could put those out as your own. You could share that out and make the whole community more accessible. And OER content allows you to make the changes that you need for your course. Say you buy a book from Routledge, you're stuck with what Routledge gives you. You have to say, well, I don't want to read, I don't want you to read this chapter because studies have come out after that change our understanding of the science, or it's not something I want to teach in my course. OER allows you to actually tailor your content to the course or vice versa. You are able to kind of provide all of that, all the knowledge that you already have beyond just lecture or beyond, one-on-one meetings. You're able to actually provide that in something that they could take with them.
So one of the major benefits of OER and just one of the major benefits of open access scholarship generally, right, which is in my personal opinion, the main reason to embrace it is equity, right? So much of education, so much of academic product, right, be it research, be it creative work, things like textbooks, right, are publicly funded, right? We are a state college, right? We're a state university. And yet, right, paywalls that can be extremely exorbitant, right? Like keep that material locked away and out of the hands of most people, right? And if you look at this equity issue, this disparity between who has access to the educational material and who doesn't, you see it falls on familiar lines, right? This goes beyond open educational resources, but in certain countries, right, in sub-Saharan Africa, right, the subscription services that you're used to seeing on our library website, like the products that Elsevier, EBSCOhost, those sorts of platforms have, all of that research that they have on those things, aren't available to the universities there because the companies see the the gross domestic product of the country and say your universities can't afford this, right? And so you have a whole country there then of people that do not have access to any of that material, right? And so in terms of just having a commitment, right, like to reaching everyone we can, right, having a commitment to reaching diverse audiences, right, and a leg up to those who are disadvantaged, open access is the clear choice.
And where do you start with that? You can start with us. I am the Open Educational Resources Librarian. If you want to get started using OER in your course, or if you don't know what is out there, email me. Schedule a one-on-one with me. My email is here. I can get you that content, or I can say, hey, these are kind of some areas that you might be able to grab things from in order to put that into your bright space, or here's how we can kind of work things into something that will be helpful for your course. Or if maybe there isn't something out there, I can get you to someone who can help you create that content if you are not sure or if you're interested in that angle also.
And that's me. I'm the open scholarship librarian, right? And my role is to help you, faculty and staff here at the UMaine, right, be able to get your content published open access. So if you have an idea for some sort of a text or living document or other media project, right, that you want to make for your class or another reason, and you want to make that open, then you can contact me. You're going to be hearing pretty soon about a lot of changes to what UMaine Libraries has to offer in terms of our platforms for publishing. One of which, here's a little teaser, is going to be a platform called Maine Open Books. So Maine Open Books is going to be a platform where you can host a very, very, very nice, snazzy, compliant, right, open access book or living document, right? It's a perfect place if you have an open educational resource idea for a product that we can host it. And there's a variety of services that I can provide associated with that kind of publishing.
If something that I will do for you and something I can help you work through is the many providers or collectors of OER. I've already mentioned one being OpenStax. OpenStax makes their own textbooks. They actually do all sorts of things. Like they actually have test banks. They do, slides. They have third-party content for other people who have made content based on their books. There is one on a previous slide that was a use of a physics textbook, but it was focusing on diversity as a module. So that is something that they also provide. Another is the Open Textbook Library, or BC Open Commons, which is from Canada, it's British Columbia. They do a lot of amazing work. A lot of these also have reviews from faculty. Some of them have been peer reviewed. They allow you to feel more confident. Because I know many people are like, oh, well, like I used OER in the past, but it didn't meet the standards I wanted. I didn't like the content as much as I was hoping I would, something like that. It has grown drastically over, I would say, since COVID. There's been a vast upgrade in a lot of that, and the accessibility has gotten far greater. So if you have students with screen readers or students who, need accommodation, this is a way for you to engage with them, but also provide better service to your students. OER should be easy, and it allows you to focus on the most important thing, which is your expertise and actually educating your students on the content that you are an expert in your way. You don't need to have a publisher tell you, hey, this is how I'm structuring my textbook. This is all the test banks and quizzes that I am providing to you. This is a way for you to kind of break away from that. And as I was mentioning, there's many repositories that allow for reviews, and you can actually work with me, and I can work with your subject librarians to help you find those textbooks. I've already started working on the OER LibGuide, which is our library guide, which has some of the spotlights for repositories that have good content that is peer reviewed, or ways for you to engage beyond just, an open access journal. But you don't need to do it by yourself. And there's opportunities for you to connect not only with me and with Casey, but also with other specialists, people in the libraries. We're hoping to build a community of practice here, and to actually allow educators to talk amongst each other and say, hey, I've been using this open access book. I really like it. I'm actually building this other thing. Do you want to collaborate with me? Allow you to kind of suit the needs of your students and your courses. And where do you start? Start small. Just say, hey, I want to do one, I'm going to only add one chapter from this book, or I want to change my articles from database articles to open access journals. I want to do this one assignment where students are going to be publishing these things online for other students to read, something like that. You can seek help from me, from Casey, and you can plan to review that experience if you use us and the experience of your students to help kind of tailor the experience of open education at UMaine and make it better. So how do you get involved? This is a long list, but basically the highlights. We're going to be doing some more workshops. We're going to be doing some on finding quality OER, going to get your hands on open publishing. We're going to be doing one on accessibility, and especially as that Title II requirement comes up, we want you to have some opportunities to see what is compliant and can actually be used in your courses that saves you a little bit of time. You can adopt OER in your course. You can read an OER and make a review. Say, hey, I read this book, or I read these. I did the work of this resource beyond textbook, something like code, if you're into that, and say, hey, like I did the work to this and I liked it, or these are the issues I had with it. That's adding to the scholarship. Talk to your colleagues, share your experience, ask if they're using any OER in their course. Lots of people are, but they don't mention it. Everyone is siloed. You can take some of your work that you're already doing and make that open access. Provide it to other faculty or anybody who wants to use it. You can publish with UMaine libraries, or you can help advocate at the departmental level for people to get in contact with me, get in contact with anybody who says we should make the experience of our students easier, cheaper, and engage them more. So what are your next steps? Take a look at some of the links that I had mentioned, such as OpenStax or BC Open Libraries, and see if there's any in your subject area. For many people in education, health, the sciences, there's going to be a vast amount of OER that is tailored for you, especially if you are in a subject that has high awesome textbooks. People are already doing this. They have seen the issue and they're trying to help. Identify gaps. See if there's anything in your expertise that you can't find. And say, hey, maybe I can do that. Or the easiest thing, follow the newsletter from UMaine Libraries. We're going to be providing info on more workshops, trainings, spotlighting some OERs as we continue. And we're actually going to be providing an opportunity for you to get involved by adopting, adapting, or creating OER content and being paid. Application for this are going to be running through February 2nd. We have a full OER work page on the LibGuide. We are going to be paying for people to adopt, adapt, or create, and we're going to be working with other faculty on campus who are interested. We've actually already have at least one application in for this award, and it went live last week. So feel free to get in contact with me and see what's possible, and maybe put in an application, work with us. Are there any questions? We went very fast breakdown.
Yeah, just to be clear, so this is an award for OER in a class that will occur in fall 2026, right? And the three different sort of levels, adopt means you use some OER, right? You find some great textbook, you find some great chapters, you find some great test bank stuff. So you adopt some of that and you put that into your course. Adapt is that remixing step, right? Where you add a little bit, right? Like maybe you remix a textbook or you add a chapter, you add some things to it, right? And then create is that I've got a whole project that I want to make. I got a whole project that I want to make and make open, right?
Yeah, so are there any questions? I am going to be checking the chat, or if you are interested in,
You can go Mike Live.
you know, you can just ask and we can respond.
How many of you are using OER now? No. No from that. It's like,
I understand sometimes like when you're being asked by your physician, if you have any questions and you've just gotten a whole bunch of information buried into your brain and you don't have anything right away. I'm always willing to take questions. I've actually been working with a couple of faculty on questions about this project already. So feel free to get into contact with me, and I can answer pretty much any question I get asked. I might have to find those answers, but we're open to having that discussion. Oh, yeah, Beth.
Hi, thank you, first of all, for this opportunity to learn more. I really, do not know much and appreciated the background. So I'm wondering, coming from where I am, where, I know this exists, and it's been one of those things where I was like, okay, one of these days I will spend more time learning about it. So here's the start of my journey. But if you could talk a little bit about that create or author new educational materials. And then I guess, is that then available? Is that hosted on a website then that anyone anywhere can access anytime?
yes. Yeah, so
Whether
main open
whether or
books.
not they're affiliated with a university, for example, or whether or not they're affiliated with UMaine.
Yeah, no, so a big thing about something being open access is that it's not locked behind any sort of a paywall and it's not locked behind any sort of a login either, right? So much of the internet, so much of the web is like, oh, it's free, but you have to have an account, right? Like, and so main open books will be a totally open platform. It'll have a URL, something like main open books, right? It'll have some sort of slug like that. And anyone in the world will be able to go there and access the content, right? So anyone from any university or just anyone, maybe a student in high school, right? Like maybe a student in high school is interested in the topic and is advanced and wants to dive into some stuff, right? Like,
Yeah, and there are opportunities there for people who want to kind of extend the reach of their scholarship beyond just beyond the academy, saying, hey, like my expertise might actually be helpful for, say, I want to put out some OER about forest management, something like that. So you're like, well, I'm gonna make this OER so that, loggers or people who own land might be able to read it and learn a little bit about the topic. They might be able to share that with friends, kind of build out more of that goodwill, saying, hey, like, I got this book from the university that I didn't have to pay for that has all this great information in it, and I can provide that to anyone else. That's kind of an opportunity to kind of, put the name not only of the university, but also of yourself out there. You never know. And it's also, that's kind of the great thing about open access and education is being able to teach anybody something. And I think that's a great opportunity.
I will say, if you have some concerns about that, being accessible to absolutely anybody in the world, right? Like that's where you get into the licensing sort of minutia, right? Like, so whereas if you have something, right, like that you're totally fair, you're totally interested in sharing open, right? But you don't want people to remix it, you're quite happy with the way that it is, and you don't want to see that vision change, right? Like, or taken in a direction you don't want. That's where licensing provisions like no derivatives comes in, right? Where you close off that, you close off that remixing from your users, right? Now that what that does is it just bounces it back to your copyright, which means someone could still reach out to you, right, and say, hey, I'd like to work with you on maybe adding a new chapter, and you can still work with them on that, but it becomes a person to person thing, right, where you come up with a new license for them, right? And then, similarly, some of the other contract terms like share alike is a way, non-commercial are both ways to make sure that the work doesn't go into a direction that you don't want it to go. Share alike protects it from going closed, right? Like non-commercial prevents it from going commercial. So you you're not in danger of putting out a great free textbook on main open books and then having some company grab it, take the text, publish it, right, and then sell it for $300, right? So you can have the reach that open access provides, right? Breaking down all those barriers so that anyone can reach it, anyone in the state of Maine, anyone in the United States, anyone in the world, right? But still protect it and still control it, right? Like, and I just want to stress that with these licenses, right, like unlike a lot of publishing that you do, right, like a lot of publishing that everybody does, where when you agree to publish something, right, with a traditional publisher, you give them your copyright, so you don't have copyright anymore, right? But stuff that you published via open access with a Creative Commons license, you don't give up the copyright. So nothing that's main open books is not going to request copyright, right? You hold your copyright. Which I
Thank
mean,
you. That's super helpful because I was thinking about that tension of potentially, having the work changed that no longer fit the theories that I use.
mhm.
Um, so this has been great. Thank you. Thank you both. I really appreciate your time.
Certainly. Yeah, and I see uh, that Crystal uses some modules from the Department of Education on special education diversity. That's actually that's a great example. Um, Providing, through things like the Department of Education or other service entities, they might provide free resources that are available. And that's how you can go and look through and see if, hey, maybe do they have a Creative Commons license? Or what does the license say on it? Because they will provide that information to you.
Mm.
And that's a way for you to kind of learn a little bit more about the content that you are using and how maybe you can add to that. You might be able to do something similar, and you kind of learn a little bit more about how to talk about your content to someone like Casey. Say like, hey, I know that I want to do a attribution share alike international license. He could then be like, okay, we've already gotten past this first step. You've already come in prepared. And that's kind of a great way to start doing that.
Just a little clarity, right? Like anything from the US federal government, and I will date this, it is December 2025. But at this moment in time, anything from the US federal government is published into the public domain, right? Like, and that is absolutely free, right? Like for absolutely anybody to do, nobody has copyright over that anymore, right? Which means that if you wanted to take that stuff from the Department of Ed, right? Like, and you wanted to do something with it, right? If you wanted to use it in some sort of a model, right? Like, or integrate it into some other sort of a text that explores it, right? That's an opportunity to make some OER, right? Like, because that's public domain, right? Example you might know from public domain, right? Like, if you see, like, if you go into a bookstore, not a lot of people do that these days, but if you go into a bookstore and you see that wall of like classics that are all bound kind of fancy, right? Like, but they're sort of all bound the same way. They've got like faux leather bindings and stuff. And you've got all these like classics. You've got like A Tale of Two Cities, right? Like, you've got the Dickens, you've got Sherlock Holmes and stuff. Those are all works in the public domain. And that's why people can do that. Anybody who wants to can grab a public domain book, print it, sell it, right? You can do whatever you want with it. So that is a fantastic starting point. State documents, state government documents, vary state by state, but most states, I don't know about Maine, actually, I have to double check, but most states actually hold copyright over their state entity stuff. So I can help you navigate that sort of stuff too. So can Tom.
Are there any other questions, anything that we can answer right now?
Well, I certainly hope that if you're inspired and you think you might want to try to dive into this OER world, right, like that you consider signing up for the grant, right, and get some support for it.
Yeah. If you're gonna do the work, we would want to support you and get you a little bit extra if we can. So we're the ones running the grant, so you should contact us for sure. But thank you very much for your time. Again, this has been recorded and will be provided to anyone who either missed it or wants to review it again. But thank you very much.
Thanks.